So here's today's class. I'm supposed to talk to you about Shavuos. I do once a week, Maimah once a week, Sh'oyerakas. And Mrs. Gerevich said to me, you teach the girls Shavuos today, I'll give you 2 classes next week from Maimah. So that's what's going to happen next week. And the truth of the matter is, I don't know what's going to happen next week, but fine, officially I have 2 classes from Maimah next week. We'll see. Our topic is Shavuos. So I want to start off the conversation by talking about the 12 psukim. Everybody knows the 12 psukim. The Rebbe introduced 6 and then 6 more psukim and Memorei Chazal that children should memorize and share with other children, that those other children should also memorize. And the way the 12 psukim are structured, it's 2 psukim from Chumash, from Tanakh, 2 from Mishnah or Gemara, and 2 from Tanya. And then again, 2 from Chumash, 2 from Mishnah Gemara, and then again 2 from Tanya. It's 2, 2, and 2 times 2. It's 12 psukim or Memorei Chazal. When the Rebbe introduced the 12 psukim, he explained each one, and he explained why he's choosing these psukim. The essence, for those who do not know, the essence of the 12 psukim was an idea that the Rebbe had after Pesach, 1976, and a lot of people say that this was the Rebbe seeing what was going to happen in Entebbe that summer. A lot of people say that the miracle of Entebbe, which was an incredibleness, has a lot to do with the 12 psukim. The Rebbe went crazy about 12 psukim for a few months, then he stopped talking about it. For a few months, the Rebbe couldn't talk about it enough. He was consumed with the 12 psukim. And people say that the Rebbe would often see a tzara happening for Yidden, and he would preempt it with a certain mivtzah. Kids should memorize 12 Torah passages. Big deal. And people say that the Rebbe was completely consumed with it because it helped Beruchnius and the nest that happened in Entebbe. Because after that, he talked about it very little. We kept saying it, once the Rebbe introduced it, it's here forever, but a lot of people connected to this event. The reason the Rebbe made 12 psukim, because the Rebbe came up with a new idea. The children should become mashpiyim. The children should do mivtzoyim. That's the theme of it. The kids should not just be taught, they should teach others. And the Rebbe said children have 2 qualities that makes them uniquely suited to be teachers. Number 1, they're very friendly, very social. And number 2, they're very competitive. When a child knows something his friend doesn't know, he goes to his friend and says, look, I know this and you don't know this. Your friend gets jealous, he needs to know it also. Or your friend will say, but I know something you don't know. So the Rebbe said, I want children to engage with other children with Torah, using these 2 traits of children, of very social, very friendly, and very competitive, that kids should be mashpiyah on one another. You come to a child and say, I know this pasuk, but you don't know this pasuk, and the kid say, but I know another pasuk, and each one is going to want to know what the other one knows. So the Rebbe said, I need to give the kids material. If the kids are going to do mivtzoyim, and the kids are going to come to other children and encourage them to learn psukim, I have to give the children the material that they should memorize and then share. That was this is the story of the 12 psukim, very simply stated. That since the Rebbe wanted children to do mivtzoyim, and they should do mivtzoyim with other children, and the mivtzoyim should consist of encouraging children to memorize Torah by heart, the Rebbe chose what they should memorize. Whatever it is, Torah Tziva, Shema Yisrael, Kol Yisrael, B'chol Der V'der, V'hinei, Kikar V'lachad Avu Me'ed, and Bereshis, and Torah Tziva, Ve'ahavta, and Yagaita, and V'zekal Adam, and Yismach. That's the story, right? But the Rebbe explained the psukim. There's tapes of those fabrengens. I listened to those tapes because I'm teaching. I undertook this year, B'li to give a series of classes on the 12 psukim. I'm holding now by Bereshis. So I researched it. I studied the sikh. I listened to the tapes. Listened to the Rebbe talk. And a lot of the psukim, the Rebbe's talking to little kids about how precious Torah is. It's, you like your toys, you like your cake. The Torah you like more. You like it more, you like it more, you like it more. You love the Torah. He's talking to little kids about loving Torah. But when the Rebbe talks to little kids about loving Torah, he doesn't give them a choice. He never says, do you like Torah? Because most kids say, no, I like ice cream. The Rebbe talks about Torah and little kids as if they love Torah more than ice cream and more than pizza and more even than sushi. I mean, the greatest pleasure in the world, they love Torah more. And when the Rebbe says it, you believe him. He says it so convincingly, but you say, wait a minute. Really? I have kids. They don't love Torah. They love pizza. Oh, they love wasting time. Playing games. And the Rebbe says, Ma doch, how much more so? If you love your games, how much more so you're going to love Torah? And listening to the Rebbe talk is very interesting this way, because the Rebbe is a very practical man. He was very down to earth. But he's also a big tzaddik. So on the one hand, every idea that Rebbe introduces is so realistic. On the other hand, his point of view is very spiritual. The Rebbe looks at Jewish children. And if he looks that way at Jewish children, you can assume that he looks the same way at Jewish adults. That we love Torah. We love mitzvahs. Of course we do. And now we're going to have 12 psukim that can help us love it even more. That kind of aura. And when you read the Hanochas of the Sichos, you listen to the tapes, now they're doing all kinds of books on this, everyone's into the 12 psukim. You see this again and again and again, more and more and more clearly. Why am I giving you this? Why am I telling this to you now? Because one of the stories of Shavuos is how much Yidden wanted the Torah. I want to ask you a question, girls. I don't know you, and you don't have to answer, because if you had to answer, it'd be very uncomfortable, because everybody wants to be politically correct, and religiously correct, and Hasidically correct. But ask yourself the question, if I came to you and said, I have great news for you. In a few days from now, I'm going to give you a Torah that's full of rules. You're going to have to do a bunch of stuff. You're not allowed to do a bunch of stuff. And you're going to be learning your whole life. It's going to teach you how to live your life. And every little detail of your life is going to be controlled by that book. You're going to say, yeah, yippee-doo. Or you're going to say, wah? Yidden came out of Mitzrayim. And they were told that the reason they come out of Mitzrayim is to come to Asina and get the Torah. And they counted the days. They counted the days. We count Sfira. The reason for the mitzvahs I say of Sfira Oiber is because Yidden in the Midbar counted the days. They counted the days in anticipation. They were excited to receive the Torah. They were excited to receive the Torah. What's the Torah? What's the Torah? What's the Torah? What's the Torah? It's a control book. This you have to do this way. That you got to do the other way. The third thing, you're not allowed to do it all. This you better do 4 times a day. They do only once a month, 3 times a month, 6 times a month, once a year, once in a lifetime. Rules. Exactly what were we excited about? We were so happy to receive the Torah. Maybe we couldn't wait. We were excited to get the Torah. Once we got the Torah, we complained. It says in next week's Pasha, actually it's 2 weeks Pasha, because doing Nasei twice this year. When the Jews left Har Sinai, they made a Fabrengen. What's a Fabrengen? No more mitzvahs. They got 613 mitzvahs in a year. 613 mitzvahs means a little bit less than 2 mitzvahs per day. They stayed at Har Sinai another month, they had another 50 mitzvahs. Okay, 613 is enough. But before, they were so excited to come to Har Sinai and receive the Torah. The question, girls, is, and it's not a question, it's really, it's a window. It's giving you a sense of the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim and Matan Torah, and most importantly, it's giving you a sense of you. Shavuos is Shabbos, Friday. Today's Tuesday, right? So in 3 days from now, it's going to be Shavuos. Right? And the Rebbe made a big deal, everybody should go to shul, even babies. You know what happens outside Chabad? It really freaks me out. You know what happens outside Chabad? I'll tell you what happens outside Chabad. In most frum communities, women go to shul. With their husbands a little bit later, they go to shul, listen to Kisat Torah, they go to shul. Why? They're frum people. The one day a year the women don't go to shul is the first day Shavuos. You know why? Because the men stay up at night and daven 6 o'clock in the morning. They come home at 7:30 after Musaf, they have a cup of coffee, a tea, and a piece of cake. They sleep till noon, they get up and they eat cheesecake. So the women don't go to shul. I know my non-Lubavitch cousins indicated to us that the least likely time they will be in shul in the entire year is a Seder Sadibris. Interesting? It's so interesting. The Rebbe said, what are you kidding? Bring newborns of Seder Sadibris. And the reason is because it's Matan Torah, it's Hakel, everybody has to be there. Anyway, Shavuos is in 3 days, we're going to get the Torah. Okay, we're all going to wake up, the men are going to have to roll out of bed after staying up all night, show up in shul, before the cheesecake, after the cheesecake, between the blintzes, the blueberry blintzes and the strawberry blintzes, we're going to go to shul, we're going to daven Kisat Torah, and we're supposed to be so happy about it, that the greatest thing in the world. Go ahead.
So it starts with the first day?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. Not the second day, no. You know the Gemara. There's a machlekes in the Gemara how to celebrate Yom Tov. There's a machlekes how to celebrate Yom Tov. Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yeshua. What's the machlekes? Should Yom Tov be lachem or should Yom Tov be laHashem? Are you familiar with this? Are you supposed to on Yom Tov have joy? That means eat meat, drink wine, sit around and have a lot of fun. A party basically, a feast of meat and wine and happiness because it's Yom Tov. Or it's supposed to be laHashem, you're supposed to sit the whole day in shul and daven and learn because it's a holy day. It's in the Gemara Machlekes. Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yeshua. And the rule is, you have a choice. It could be kula laHashem or kula lachem. You can use Yom Tov for davening and learning, you can use Yom Tov for eating and drinking. It's whatever, it's a machlekes. I'm not going into the halach, I'm just pointing out the machlekes. But even according to the opinion who says that on Pesach and on Sukkot, you have the option of kulei laHashem. You have an option on Pesach and Sukkot not to eat a meal, according to one opinion of the Gemara, just to sit the whole day in shul and daven and learn and be involved in holy because it's a Yom Tov. But on Shavuos, Batzeres, kula alme moidi de boy nami lachem. On Shavuos, you must eat meat and drink wine, even according to the opinion in the Gemara that says that you have a choice. Kulei lachem, kulei laHashem. You can make the whole day eating and drinking and meat and wine and fun, or the whole day davening and learning. It's a Yom Tov for the Eibishter. Shavuos, everybody holds. Even the opinions who say that Pesach and Sukkot you don't have to enjoy, Shavuos you have to enjoy meat and drink wine and have a celebration. Why? Hashem give us the Torah. And when you get the Torah, you're so happy, you make a big party and you eat and you drink and you understand what I'm describing? So in halacha, nigla the Torah, let alone according to Chassidus, the greatest thing that ever happened to us is we got the Torah from Eibishter. Really? Mamish. The Torahs are prison, is it not? I'm asking you a question. So I want you to know that I gave the seminary-based girls a fancy talk, a scholarly talk on this question. I don't want to repeat the same talk. I'm terrible at repeating speeches. But it's just interesting to see how Torah thinks. Torah thinks that the greatest thing that Torah ever gave you was the 613 mitzvahs. Torah thinks the greatest Eibishter ever gave us were all of these rules, this way of life, this chokhmah, and we should be so happy to have it. We should be so happy to have it. And it's fantastic, it's interesting. But I'm going to give you an example. I'll give you a modern day example. And it's also not a simple example, okay? A lot of you are shluchim. Certainly a percentage of you grew up on shlichus. I don't know how you feel about shlichus. Some of you love shlichus, some of you hate shlichus. But you all have strong opinions about shlichus. Whether you grew up on shlichus or didn't grow up on shlichus, young people growing up, it's always this way. You either think shlichus is the coolest idea, or shlichus is so hard that I would never do it. Everybody's got their opinion. I don't think there's a girl in this room who's ambivalent about shlichus. You have very strong opinions about shlichus. Now, whether you can go shlichus or not, I'll tell you a secret. If the Rebbe wants you in his army, he's going to make arrangements and you're going to work for him, whether you like it or not. He'll make it work and he'll even make you happy if he needs to. Okay? Shlichus has been going on now for 75 years. The Rebbe became a Rebbe Shlichus. You know how hard shlichus is? Shlichus is very hard. Shlichus is very hard. You know who worried about shlichus? Does anybody know who worried about shlichus? There's a correct answer to that question. Huh? The Friedrich Rebbe. It's an answer, it's not the one I'm looking for. The Rebbitzin. The Rebbitzin worried about shluchim. And she especially worried about shluchis. You have to understand, the Rebbitzin was the Rebbe's wife. And she knew more than anybody else in the world who the Rebbe was. She never contradicted the Rebbe. You know that? If the Rebbe told her that this is yellow, it was yellow. Literally. And she was an extremely intelligent woman. She had her opinions about many things. She would sit at her table and say her opinion, and somebody would say to her, you know, the Rebbe said Befabrengen differently. She would immediately say what the Rebbe said. And you would say to her, yeah, but 2 minutes ago you said something different. And she would say very sternly, this is my opinion. If the Rebbe told her that today is Thursday, it's Thursday. Her bittul to the Rebbe was extraordinary, and she was not a pushover. It didn't come from a lack of self-identity. The Rebbe was a great woman and a powerful lady. People who met her said it was like meeting electricity. She was this big. You walked into the house, you felt her presence. You felt that you're little next to her. Not because of what she said or who she was married to, because who she was. She was a powerhouse of a lady. But she was so bottled to the Rebbe. She never told the Rebbe no. I mean, people say, Dr. Weiss says, he would watch them talk in Russian, so he shouldn't understand. They would discuss things in his presence. And he saw that the Rebbe used to consult the Rebbetzin. When the Rebbe wanted to do something, he would ask the Rebbetzin, and the Rebbe would argue with the Rebbe. The Rebbetzin would argue, would ask questions. But when the Rebbe did something, the Rebbetzin never questioned it. If the Rebbe sent shluchim, then you have to send shluchim. But it didn't say she couldn't worry about it. She knew how hard it was, and how hard it is. She was very proud. You know, she told Mrs. Kalbach, Hadassah Kalbach soll gesund sein, we need to do this. We need to do shlichus. They did it in Russia. In Russia, people died on shlichus, and the Frierdiker Rebbe sent shluchim. The Rebbetzin knew that what my husband, what the Rebbe thinks has to happen, but it didn't stop her from worrying. She worried about shluchim and shluchais because she knew how hard it is. And it's very hard. It was a lot harder 50 years ago, but it's hard today too. Mrs. Leah Kahn, Rabbi El Kahn's wife, has an interview in Gem, which she tells a story. She was a first cousin. Her father, her mother, and the Rebbe's father were first cousins. Her mother and the Rebbe's father were first cousins. She was the Rebbe's second cousin, one of the closest relatives to the Rebbe in the world. The Rebbe, not the Rebbetzin, the Rebbe. She spent a lot of time with the Rebbetzin. She talked to the Rebbetzin. She walks into the house one day, and the Rebbetzin says to Mrs. Kahn, to Leah Kahn, look what the shluchos did. The shluchos gave her a gift of some sort. I don't know what it was. It was an album of pictures. They sent the Rebbetzin a gift that was tasteful and appropriate for the Rebbetzin. And she's showing it to Mrs. Kahn. I mean, oh, it's very beautiful. And Mrs. Kahn says to the Rebbetzin, you know, you deserve this. You deserve to get these kinds of gifts. And the Rebbetzin says to Mrs. Kahn, me? I'm just a plain lady. Why are the shluchas have to waste their time on me? And where do the shluchas find the time for it? So Leah Kahn said to the Rebbetzin Chayamushka, the Rebbe's wife, what any Lubavitcher woman would say. Rebbetzin, don't you understand? They're all doing it for you. There would be no shlichus if not for you and the Rebbe. They're doing it for you. And the Rebbetzin shifted to Russian, which is her way of letting her know that she wasn't happy. And she said in Russian, Leah, I don't speak Russian, so I can't say it in Russian, but the English translation was, you don't know how hard it is. The Rebbetzin worried about shluchim and worried about shlichus. And what was the Rebbe's attitude? What was the Rebbe's attitude? The best thing that can happen to any person in the world is to become a shliach. When you go on shlichus, you should go besimcha. Besimcha, there are stories that happened before I was born, where the Rebbe sent children on shlichus and their parents one time said, Shiva, you're sending my children away to live who knows where, and I'm never going to see them, I'm not going to be with my grandchildren. The Rebbe's number one problem in the world was Lubavitcher Chassidim. The number two problem was the rest of the world, but the number one problem is that the Rebbe had to break our barriers to send young couples away from their families who had just come from Russia and gone through Shiva Medura Gehenim in the Second World War, and now they're sending the kids away to live who knows where. And the Rebbe said, do it with a simcha. You know the story with Mrs. Lipsker from Florida? Rabbi Lipsker, Shalom Lipsker's, his wife. So she told the story in an interview. She was 19 years old. And she was a real Crown Heights girl. Meaning, she didn't live in Crown Heights. She loved Crown Heights. She was a part of this culture. But you're talking now the 60s. In other words, 60 years ago. She was born in the 1950s, early 50s, Mistama. She was young. She married her husband, who was an extraordinary young man, very special person, brilliant guy, big Talmud Chacham. And they're going shlichus. Everybody's going shlichus. And she was afraid. She was 19. She'd never been away from home in her life. Her whole world was her family, and now she's going to move to who knows where. I mean, Florida's not exactly who knows where, but in 1971, Florida was who knows where. And so she was afraid. So her mother says to her, her mother was a relative of mine, a close relative of mine, says to her, Chanele, du sollst sagen dem Rebbe Malz. Her name is Chana. Tell the Rebbe everything you're feeling. You're afraid, tell him. Her husband said to her, Chani, don't say a word to the Rebbe. The Rebbe knows best. Regarding shlichus, don't open your mouth. So she's now torn. She's so afraid of shlichus. She's asking herself a very simple question: can I do it? And she's torn. And her mother says, tell the Rebbe how you feel. And her husband says, don't open your mouth. So anyway, she decided to listen to her husband. They went into Yechidus, and the Rebbe started talking about the Shlichus, and they were just plotzed. They came out without any self-control. What if I can't do this? I'm a 19-year-old girl, protected and living in a little bubble of insulation and protection. Who am I to go out into the big world and change the world? And the Rebbe gave her $1 million smile, that smile that the Rebbe has, that he gives from time to time. And the Rebbe says, "Was heißt, ich fahr dich mit euch mit." How are you going to do it? I'm going with you. I'm going with you on the shlichus. So there's no problem. And then the Rebbe adds, "Aber ich bet das tam besimcha." Do it happily. Why? Because since I'm going to be with you, if you're not going to be happy, it's going to be very hard for me. So her husband, Olav Shalom Lipsky used to verbring, and he used to say, the Rebbe said, I'm going to go on the shlichus whether you're happy or sad. But if you're going to be miserable on the shlichus, you're going to make me miserable, and I don't like to be miserable. The Rebbe wanted people to go on shlichus and be the happiest people in the world, the luckiest people in the world, the greste simcha. And you know what? It's actually true. It's complicated, but it's true. When people go on shlichus, they're so happy. I mean, you're going to get married. I don't know you, and I don't know who you're going to marry. I don't know your background. I don't know your connections. I don't know anything about you. But a certain percentage of you are certainly going to go on shlichus. And the hardest thing is, where am I going to go? There's no place. The planet is full of shluchim. I got to find my slice. And you're going to be so happy to be given a place with like 6 Jews and 100,000 penguins. You know, I have a place to go on shlichus. And you're going to be so happy about it. You have no idea how you're going to support your family and how you're going to raise your children. And we're going to get kosher food. But I have a shlichus. You have to think about that happiness. If you want to understand the Yidden's happiness when they got the Torah. One of the biggest mistakes that people make, girls, is they associate happiness with easy. What makes me happy? What's easy? And it's not true. What gives me pleasure is easy. What makes me happy is meaningful. If anybody says shlichus is not hard, they are a liar. And I think, without a question, the hardest part of shlichus is children. The hardest part of shlichus is children. It's extremely hard. If you go to a community where there's a school, it's nicht gefährlich, you know, it's not so bad. But even then it's hard, because the school is not to your liking. It's not necessarily a Babisha school. There's not enough kids in each class. Whatever the problem in schools out of town are, nothing is ever simple. Okay, but people go to a place of shlichus where there's no school at all. And you know, you go online. You know how many kids hate the online school? Some of the kids like it, some of the kids don't like it, because you have no friends. You have virtual friends, you have electronic friends behind the computer screen. They meet once a year in a camp for like 2 days. It's very hard. And yet, when you go on shlichus, you're so happy. You're so happy to be on shlichus. You're so happy to do the work of a shliach. You're so happy to work for the Rebbe. Why? Because that's life. That's life. That's life. Easy isn't meaningful. Easy may be pleasureful, but it's not meaningful. Real happiness does not come from the things that give us pleasure. Real happiness comes from us doing things that are hard. I don't know, I teach Bachrim, okay? I teach all kinds of Bachrim, including Bachrim that are what they call Chabad middleweight, not heavyweight and not lightweight and not featherweight, middleweight. I'm some of my Bachrim are lightweight. Not exactly Chassidish Bachrim, okay? They all work out. They all have big muscles. It's to the point where it's sometimes even obscene and disgusting. Okay? You know how hard it is to get those muscles? It's hundreds of hours of hard work. Hard work. How come they never complain about it? They complain about 2 minutes of Seder, but they don't complain about lifting weights. It's not easy. It never gets easy. You don't enjoy lifting weights. You enjoy working on yourself. You enjoy becoming healthy. You enjoy becoming strong. You enjoy developing muscles. But you know what you're enjoying? You're enjoying the work. It's not easy. It's not simple. A person wants to get muscles, doesn't want to work hard. So one day they'll find the pill for that. But the pill is probably going to have side effects, which is another whole... Everything today is a pill. People work hard. And the things that they work hard give them the most pleasure, give them the most meaning. So the Rebbe is saying, when you go on shlichus, you go on a march of victory, you go on a march of nitzachon, with unbelievable simcha. You're happy to go on shlichus. You're happy to go on shlichus. You're happy to be away from your family, to away from your friends, away from your community, and do the Rebbe's work. It's very hard. The reward, I mean, you're working for the Rebbe. There's nothing in the world greater Give me the Rebbe nachas ruach. Bemes, you're never more sure that you're doing the right thing than when you're doing what the Rebbe says. If you want to be sure that you're doing is correct, listen to the Rebbe. That's all, listen to the Rebbe. So there's joy in it. That's the story of Matan Torah. Hashem gave us a Torah with thousands of mitzvahs, and we said yippee. We were happy. We counted the days. We were so happy to receive the Torah. What were we happy about? We were happy about the fact that the Eibishter was giving us a hard job. So since when do people celebrate hard jobs? You understand? That's when the Rebbe spoke to little kids, when the Rebbe made the 12 psukim, this is what he said to little kids. The kleine kinderlach, they were talking to little children. And he says to these little kids, a Yid loves Torah. You love your toys, you love Torah more. You love your Lego, you love Hashem more. And he says it with such a simplicity. You have to understand, when the Rebbe made the 12 psukim, I was 10. I don't want to tell you what I was interested in, but it wasn't the 12 psukim. I memorized them, but my head was someplace else. I was a 10-year-old. What was the most important thing for me in my life when I was 10? It wasn't the 12 psukim. I'm going to tell you the truth. And the Rebbe makes it so simple. There's nothing more precious in your life than Torah, the mitzvahs, the Yiddishkeit. And he talks this way to children. He talks this way to the children because for the Rebbe it's real. And for the Rebbe it's so real that he wants it should be real for us. Shavuos in the 3 days, hence he should be excited to come to shul, tear the status of Dibris, and get to the Eibishter again. I will say this one more time for points, okay? Shavuos is in 3 days hence. You're going to be excited and delighted to go to shul, even if it's 7:70, we're going to get 4 elbows and 5 insults in foreign language that you don't understand, to receive the Torah from the Eibishter again. Right? Right! Right! Now you got to make it right. Now you have to make it right. You have to love Torah. Not everybody loves Torah. A lot of people can't stand it. For many reasons. And the number one reason you don't like Torah is because it's hard for you. It's hard for you to learn it. It's hard for you to do it. It doesn't let you do whatever you want. When a Yid had simcha from Torah, a Jew has simcha from Torah. Why? For the same reason a shliach has simcha from shlichus. It's not easy. But easy doesn't make you happy. Meaningful makes you happy. Yiddishkeit is our identity. And in Yiddishkeit we find happiness and meaning. So you can eat a big fancy piece of meat on Yom Tov. Yom Tov, I don't want to start up with the family politics. Yeah, it's simcha. It's not you enjoying the meat. It's the simchas Yom Tov. It's not chas v'shalom, simchas kreise. You're not enjoying your belly. It's not the pleasure and the joy of your belly. It's the joy and the pleasure of Yom Tov. You can eat meat and you can drink wine. Okay, the girls are not going to drink wine, but you're going to eat meat and get a new outfit or new toys or whatever it is that's age appropriate. And you can be happy that you got the Torah from Maybe. You're going to be happy that you got the Torah. This, girls, is not a statement. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's a challenge to each person. It's a challenge to every Jew to be happy about having the Torah, to be happy about learning the Torah, to be happy about doing the Torah, and be happy about getting the Torah again. Okay, so you have been warned. You have been provoked. Somebody said to you, do you like the Torah? And you're not allowed to say no. But you're also not allowed to lie. So what do you got to do? You have to make yourself say yes. And mean it. Okay, no comments, next subject, right? What is the Chiddush of Shavuos in Chassidus? How does Chassidus change Matan Torah versus the Matan Torah before Chassidus? The Nigla, the Halachic Shavuos. What's the difference between the Chassidic Shavuos and the Halachic Shavuos? Does anybody know the difference? Huh?
Like the change to the world?
What changed in our celebration? What changed in our experience of it? How the Yidden without Chassidus experience Matan Torah, and how the Yidden with Chassidus experience Matan Torah. I'm going to give you a very simple answer, okay? Today, a lot of Jews stay up all night Shavuos, right? Right. This business of staying up all night is sourced in the Zohar. The Zohar said that Shimon Yochai stayed up all night and learned Torah. The Mekubalim, the Arizal, the Shlomo Alkovitz, all made a big deal out of staying up all night Shavuos. 1,000 years ago, girls, people slept Shavuos. They didn't stay up all night. The staying up all night Shavuos is 500 or 600 years old, maximum 700 years old. And Misnagdim didn't do it. Chassidim did it. Because it's a Kabbalah thing, staying up all night. Now everybody stays up all night. And you go to certain places that have a night, a marathon of Shiyurim, the best speakers in the world come and talk on these incredible topics. Shavuos night is like a big deal. Everyone is busy with speeches and lectures and Torah, right? And what do? We read Tikkun. Have you ever read Tikkun? I ever read Tikkun. You're a Tikkun? You're a Tikkun? It is the most boring thing in the world. Tikkun is absolutely pleasureless. You know why? You read a few psukim from Bereshis and you shift to Noach. A few psukim at the beginning of Noach, end of Noach, shift to left l'chayt. You read just enough to know to read. You skim each parsha. You skim each Masechta Mishnayos. You skim a little bit of whatever it is, Zohar, Sefer Yetzirah. You do the edges of everything. You learn very little, and you read it. So a lot of people say, Tikkun is boring. I want to go to a shir. When I get asked to speak the night of Shavuos, I say the girls should go to sleep. Yeah, but they want to stay up and learn. So you want to stay up? Let them read Tikkun like the guys. They'll be sleeping like Bubalach. Tikkun Leil Shavuos is it's very hard. It's very hard to do. There's certain pieces that are interesting. You read the whole Aseret HaDibros. You read the whole Sefer of Rus. You read certain things completely, but b'derech klal you're reading a few psukim from the beginning, a few psukim from the end, every Mishnah, every Masechta, the first Mishnah, the last Mishnah. It's very, 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 it's incomplete. So you have two worlds, two people staying up all night. Shavuos, one person is learning Torah and is learning Torah that's interesting, that's stimulating, that's meaningful, that's uplifting. And the other guy is reading Tikkun. I was once invited to go someplace Shavuos. I travel a little bit, but I don't like to go away from Shavuos. I took my sons with me. They were like, I don't know, 8 and 10 or something. They were very little. And they spent Shavuos in this place. I gave classes a whole night. My 2 boys read the entire Tikkun, start to finish. No one, I mean, my speeches, well, I don't know what I said in my speeches, but the people were blown away. 2 little kids by themselves. Nobody was saying Tikkun. No one was saying Tikkun. It was classes. Little, say, kleine kinderlach, they must have fallen asleep at some point. They read the whole Tikkun. I had to do Tikkun, I don't know when. I did it, when I finished, I managed to get to the Tikkun. But that's what I was there for, to give talks.
How old were they?
8 and 10, they were very little. The cutest thing in that trip, which I'll never forget as long as I live, I spoke a lot. Every chance they got, they put me to speak. So I was making a speech by a kiddush, and my 8-year-old says, "Ta, it's enough." Like, stop talking. It was so funny. And he was so on point. He was right. I was going on for too long. But my little kids, the kinderlach. But the both of them said Tikkun. They'd never seen anybody say Tikkun. The whole thing, little kids. It's so boring. It's so much more fun to go to a shiur and learn about Aseret HaDibros or about the Merkava. There's so many great topics. There's no limit to topics in Torah. But Tikkun is profoundly boring. So why do we do it? Why do we do it? Now the real answer to that question is, the whole business of staying up Shavuos night is a Kabbalistic idea. You would never know it today. Because like everything else in the world, people decide that they made it up. Staying up the night of Shavuos is in Zohar. And the Mekubalim, which were on 500-600 years ago, did it with their Talmidim. It wasn't for everybody. Kabbalists stayed up all night. In Chassidus, everybody stays up all night. Shavuos, you stay up a whole night. Today, it's not Chassidic anymore. If you're from Jew and you're an earnest man and you like to learn, or woman, you stay up all night. But we're still saying Tikkun. They're learning Gemara, going to lectures, if you're going to listen to interesting topics. Why? So the Rebbe spoke about it. The Rebbe spoke about the fact that we say Tikkun, read words. The Rebbe said that Torah has 2 parts, the ideas and the words. The ideas are interesting. The ideas are dynamic. The ideas you can learn, the ideas you can understand, and the ideas you can argue about. The words are fixed, especially Torah Shebeksav. The words of the Chumash, the words of the Navi, the words of the Tilim, and in some way the words of the Mishnayos, which is what we read, are precise. They're fixed words. You stay up the night before Matan Torah and don't learn concepts. You celebrate the holiness of the words, of the letter, Oisias HaTorah, the Rebbe calls it. Because if you stay up all night and you're learning Torah and you're enjoying and understanding the ideas, the Torah you're going to get is going to be a reflection of your understanding. If you stay up all night and you read holy words, holy letters, with the understanding that these are God's words, and I'm not mixing my mind in the Torah that you're going to get the next day from the Eibush is going to be the holy Torah, Hashem's Torah. Like if you have brothers, and one day you'll have sons, who went on Einfriedenish, right? You took your brother to school, and he licked the Aleph Beis honey, you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. It's the same principle. The kid is reading, he's reading Aleph Beis, he's licking honey off letters. You're teaching the child that understanding the ideas is wonderful. The truth, the holiness is in the words themselves. This, girls, is the difference between a Hasidic Shavuos and a non-Hasidic Shavuos. A Hasidic Shavuos, we're celebrating not our understanding of Torah, the holiness of Torah. A non-Hasidic Shavuos, you're celebrating the understanding of Torah. Now, it's not like Chassidim don't care to understand, but Chassidim care to focus on a deeper dimension. The deeper dimension is the holiness of the Eibush, which is written into the Torah. Or to say what I just said in different words. When Hashem came down on the mountain, right? You know that story, right? You know that story? He came down the mountain, he spoke to us, right? Girls, 2 questions. Undeniable proof that Hashem is a misnagid. A misnagid. Undeniable proof. No chassid will refute this proof. Undeniable proof that Hashem is a misnagid. Anybody?
He forced us to do
I didn't say that, you said it. He came on time to the shiur, and he was there before his students, and he waited for them to show up. Undeniable proof that Hashem is a chassid. Undeniable proof, no misnagid will refute this. Undeniable proof that Hashem is a chassid. Anybody? Come on! He made one shiur in his entire career at Rosh Hashiva. One shiur, didn't say a single chiddush. There's not one original idea in the whole Aseret HaDibros, not one. Why? More than half are the Sheva Mitzvahs, Bnei Noach. And the few that aren't, we got in Moro. So you have undeniable proof that Hashem is a misnagid, undeniable proof that Hashem is a chassid, which means undeniable proof that Hashem is schizophrenic, right? He likes a little bit of everybody. He likes everybody completely. What's my point? Well, Hashem comes down on a mountain. He's giving us the Torah. He can't say anything original. Everything he says has to be old. Every single thing he says has to be old. Chassidus asks this question, and Maimorim asked this question, and Maimorim give a very beautiful answer. The answer that the Maimorim give is because when Hashem gave us the Torah, He didn't give us the Torah. The Torah we got from Moshe Rabbeinu. The Torah Hashem taught Moshe Rabbeinu in the 40 days after Matan Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu brought it down from the mountain, and he taught it to us in the Sefer Torah, in the Yesh Balpeh, and so on. At Har Sinai, Hashem gave us Himself. Macharti lechem es teirasi nimkarti ima. When I sold you my Torah, I sold you myself. Oh, I have to stop now. I fished out. You know, when I teach this class, I usually have till 12:30. I forgot. Give me a minute. I'll let you go. I thought I have till 12:30. I didn't calculate my time. I didn't calculate my time. I forgot that. When I do Maimed, we finish 12:30. It's one of the punishments of the guys who learn Maimed. For the girls who learn Maimed. But I know you didn't all sign up. Give me 60 seconds. I'm going to finish. Har Sinai is getting Hashem. The Torah you get later. This is why we say tikkun. We read boring Torah, in quotes, because we want the Torah that we learn to be pure. It shouldn't be ours, it should be His. Oisias HaTorah, the letters of the Sefer Torah are sacred, and they don't change. The ideas are constantly changing. They're growing, they're expanding, they're being deepened, they're being divided up, they're being unified, and so on. But the words and the letters are constant. This is a Chassidish Shavuos. Oisias HaTorah, the holiness of Torah. And then after Shavuos, you got to learn the Torah. And I want to wish you all Kabbalas HaTorah, B'simcha, U'Bepnimius. I'm assuming there's no classes on Thursday. Am I correct?